And so I'm always afraid of anything that's got to do with my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
How'd it go? We've got none so far.
It was basically a wrinkle on the neck. It's called a neck. And then I guess what they do is they peel the membrane off. And then smooth out with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, so what they do is, it's really bizarre, and the worst part was, it was Friday morning. And a friend of mine was supposed to be the nurse anesthetist, but instead she wound up going on to Indian Lake with my dogs. Bitch. Needless to say, I didn't go to Indian Lake with my dogs, because I was having surgery at here at 7:30 in the morning, or whatever it was, and, so they give you some propofol. And then it's favorite. It makes you go.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
You're not 50 yet. When you get 50, you'll get that special test that requires propofol.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, the test is easy. It's getting ready for it. It sucks. Just, but anyway, and then you wake up, the whole side of my face was numb.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Yeah, I had like a piece of like plastic hit me in the eye like 2 months ago.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I think it's in there. Like, maybe it came out. It's like my eye has been twitching, but it's getting better. Like,
Probably scratch cornea abrasion.
But I'm hoping.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that's what it is.
because I don't want to have.
I've had that, I know.
Yeah, my dad had like a piece of metal in his eye and I'm like.
I had a corneal abrasion, maybe some alcohol, maybe some cigars, all into the woods. To clean it. It was terrible. Anyway, yeah, so then I wake up and they wheel me into the surgery thing, and I'm just awake for it. Yes. The reason they don't leave you out is because people move around when you're sleeping, people snore, you know, you can't really have your head vibrating when you're in there with a laser or whatever they're doing. So I could see, I could see him liquid in there, we could see the instruments doing, I could see him peeling away, and I was like, wow, this is cool. But it's real, man.
That freaks me out.
And the drug they probably give people to make you have amnesia is Versed.
Okay.
And I don't like Versed because it makes me sick. Like a combination of Versed helps and never do well in food. So since I stopped telling them, started telling them about Versed, I've never had an issue with it. So, but as maybe 5 or 7 minutes, it's kind of starting to hurt. Do you feel that? Yeah. Get some more of this. Okay. Which I found out later.
Oh, my.
Well, fentanyl, when it's used right, isn't
Yeah.
what we read about on the TV or in the news, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know this. I found out later.
How long have you known this?
I mean, the surgery itself was maybe a half hour.
Huh?
We got there at 7. I left probably. And that has been going. Never get to drive after that.
My mom had knee surgery last Monday. Within like, the surgery was 45 minutes. Within like 3 or 4 hours, she was up walking. Insane.
When I had my hip replaced, I had to walk from Port to the surgery center.
It just amazes me how possible.
You couldn't drive.
No.
You can't drive for 24 hours after accident. That's the general. I didn't drive Friday. I didn't even drive Saturday. I'm not sure. I drove Sunday. Monday, I don't think I went anywhere. That's the first time I've ever been in my driveway.
You made it here. That counts for something.
I did, like, my eyes killing. No lifting for. I say that. What happened was I went to the DMV to get the CDL from. I looked in the machine. Well, 3 boxes, right? Right. Wow, so you guys didn't put the letters in. And they're there. No, no letters. Put your glasses on. Okay. Still no letters. Will you put the letters in, please? Somehow or another, I passed the thing, unfortunately, with my glasses. First time I ever had lenses. So now I've got bad pictures in my life.
Oh.
Sure. Sitting at my desk and talking to people like this, and people were talking about that. And I always tell them.
Have you ever tried that?
I can't have, no. I can't even imagine.
That whole concept.
You can see that.
Oh.
This is terrible.
Other strap you down.
Just about, and what happens is I found off. No. I get more, sometimes.
Al, is that a cigar in your mouth?
No, it's a pen cap.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe next time.
You're all fancy looking, Al. You're looking so fancy for.
Oh, I'm out on a job.
I thought you were retired.
I thought so too.
So what was your reaction to the district assembly? It's changed a lot since I did this 20 years ago, I must say.
I don't remember it at all.
And you were there twice.
Was it at Pets?
Yeah, I'm talking about pets, yeah.
Oh,
That's not.
Yeah.
Well, it's become that.
They
I
bolted
mean,
on,
it's
don't
as
they?
much a district assembly as it is anything else anymore.
I mean, it was a big deal when I was probably 14.
I liked it.
15.
I got a few.
18, no, 18, 17, 18.
I really think it's been, the emphasis has shifted somewhat from teaching you how to be a better president to teaching you how to be a better district participant. If you know what I mean.
I didn't get.
Recruiting event than it is if they got the president.
You didn't
Yeah, I
get
didn't
that? I mean, I really, as I'm leaving, they hand me this list of questions for my goals for the year, and most of them pertain to district goals. It's really gotten interesting.
I think it probably also depends on who's the incoming district governor. I think it's.
Well, I think
Yeah.
each successive district governor wants to outdo the previous one in terms of district projects and things like that. Yeah, and it just sort of builds through the years.
Just set big goals.
When I went to PES, I don't remember hardly even discussing the district. I mean, it was more about, it really was a training session for presidents at the club level.
Yeah, I don't remember it being heavily district focused. I mean, it was heavily Rotary focused, like the foundation and all different avenues, but like.
Well, we had this, I mean, the second day was pretty much, the sessions were pretty much geared toward it. But the first day was all.
Thank you. Got some batteries now, 48 pack.
Well, the way we go through them, I'm gonna have to get them in another quarter.
Barry, thank you for taking care of that.
I've got a whole story for that, but I'm not gonna bore you with it.
We worked so sweet. Now we're gonna have to have a meeting. I mean, we worked so hard to help those people, and then the people are trying to help people that. Still work down here.
The big picture. Well, you don't know how this goes.
I'm sure.
But I'll tell you
But
what.
I can tell you that the woman is extremely.
Really?
She has been copying, so the Celeste lady from the school, when she sent it over to her, the copy has been sent over to me. Say something, Mr. Allen, we are so appreciative of your help.
I hope that. I happen to know she was 16 years old. And Trash collection, late fee, it's cleaning up the home again.
Yes, I don't know how we, I guess it's that big, how far. I think we all. Nice, quote unquote, that you get the limit of losses. Right, but we all had a sympathetic heart. We all knew it wasn't gonna work. No, we all knew it wasn't gonna work. It wasn't one of us that wouldn't hurt. I think it just. I did well.
We just spent thousands of money other people, but because we run out of money, they won't get it. So that's the big thing.
If we all of a sudden. Now we're helping.
You have to understand. But the real side of it is exactly what I said. The board will not stick to what they're doing. No, you're not. Because you're not, we are not metering out the money in the best possible ways.
Well,
What we're doing is,
let's pretend this year happened. No other pieces.
yes,
Then we had not, so the other side.
Which of course-
By the way, I'm not disagreeing.
which of course says the reason we didn't have any of the rights is because nobody could get loan with $1,000. No, it's a conundrum. You can't win on any odds. Nobody has.
That's fine.
And so it's like, we all understand. There's a problem. And it's a distribution. It's not a production. It's a distribution. But nobody has ever. And you don't have to just look here. Maybe like 3,000 years. It's the same thing. Exactly. Exactly.
Learning fast. Yes.
Checks. One was hard. Yeah, we wrote three, we approved three. Checks. Yeah, give it. What he goes. Jim Farmer next year. It's under.
I'm Teresa Russell. I want
Well, what you don't know is, what it is,
Yeah, no, no. I do know.
yeah, you do know. What you don't know, what you don't know is you're going to fly. Which is why you shouldn't know. in the
Oh my
first
goodness.
You know what? I didn't know until you reminded me. Run my share. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I was trying to think of
Saturday. I'm ready to get my phone. I have a meeting. I don't know. I have a. Who does that?
Well, that too.
We'll get started in just a minute. All righty, everybody, let's get started. Rock and roll. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 33rd meeting of the 49th year of the Dublin Worthington Rotary Club. For those that don't know, my name is Teresa Russell. I'm the current president. And I want to welcome you all. And today our invocation is virtual by Al Wu.
Join me in bowing our heads, look to our higher power, and ask that during this time of reawakening and renewal, you renew our strength and commitment, dedicating ourselves to working for the benefit of others, create in us a pure heart, and renew a steadfast spirit within us. We ask that you bless this food, those who have prepared it, and all Rotarians and family who are dedicated to working for the benefit of others. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Technology works every time. Okay, we have two guests today, and Emily is going to introduce them.
So we have Lucia today with us, who we are sponsoring to go outbound on exchange, and she'll be going to Japan. And she is here with her dad, Juan.
And we'll be announcing our other guest, the speaker, in a minute. Anybody have announcements? Come on and make your way up. I know, Jerry, you never sit down for this part of the meeting.
Well, because I've been asked to make this, announcement. As usual, I've managed to confuse most of you. And so let me see if I can add to that, and make it even more confusing for you. We are having an online only raffle. Wow. Your job is to tell people about it. This is how you do it. This is your collateral piece. This is not a raffle ticket. So take these, give them to your friends, your neighbors, your enemies, anybody that likes to travel, and even those who don't, and just tell them to give it to somebody else. Now, is that clear? Yes. You know what you're doing? You know what you're doing now? All right. Now the confusing part.
Where we left off.
For several years now, we've had a sponsorship drawing. And somebody has given you 10 tickets and told you to sell those or buy them or eat them or do something, but put $200 in the pot. And you all did. What we're telling you this year is that this online raffle takes the place of our sponsorship raffle. So you will not be getting 10 tickets to sell. You're getting 10 tickets to distribute so that people will know they need to go online and enter our raffle. Now, I asked you not to run and buy your tickets right away, because you will probably buy tickets that are basically at a bargain. Tickets are $50 a piece. And so we like to sell as many at 50 as we can. So we'll let you know when we want you to bombard the website and start purchasing your tickets, because if this drawing goes as we expect, and we sell 3,000 tickets, which is the most we will sell, you will not be asked to buy any tickets. Now, we won't let you get shut out, because some of you really do like to gamble, and you really do like to travel, and you really would like to win $20,000. By the way, you'll get a 1099. I'm gonna ask Steve.
To explain what you just said, thanks.
Yeah, well, actually, I think he'll bring you up to date, but, I'm sure he will.
We're gonna ask Steve to do the announcement next time, so we can be here less time. Hi, everybody, I am here to talk about your foundation for just a moment. I want to share with you a couple of cases that we approved this past month, anyhow. We have, as you may or may not know, we've limited our grants to $1,000 in order to make sure that we help the most number of people that we can, in addition to limiting the amount of money that we're going to be able to grant based on the account values, basically, and the performance of the portfolio last year. That said, we did help a family who the father was a business owner and went out of business. Hard to make money when you're out of business. Hard to collect unemployment when you own your own business. So all that being said, this case came to us through Thomas Worthington High School. We granted them $1,000 to help them with rent. As well, we helped another family with, I believe it was $700 and something due to a medical situation where their car was broken and they needed it repaired, so we helped with that. So keep in mind that our mission as a foundation is to help people with any kind of a catastrophe that shows up on the family or the people in general, that we can get them out of their situation and have them be well on their way. And if you have extra money in your bank account or your IRAs, feel free to donate to the foundation. And if you know of any organizations that might want to assist our mission, please let me know about that as well. Thank you.
Like most of you, I was only half listening to Jerry. So what am I supposed to say, Jerry? Am I supposed to opine on something?
What's our sales so far?
$650.
Yay.
And the site is up?
It's up. It's ready to take your money. I would say, go ahead and buy some tickets. Anyways, the real reason I'm up here is because our Impact Club is alive and well, and they are gonna be holding their social for this month on March 26th, which is a Tuesday, at Nocterra Brewing in Powell at 5:30 p.m. So if you just wanna come hang out and see what they do and help them with ideas as to what service project they wanna do next, or if you know somebody that should be in the Impact Club, feel free to come along and bring them. Thanks.
Hey, everybody, I haven't been here for 5 weeks. I was in North Carolina for that time. So I've missed the first 2 weeks of March for our passing of the hat for the James Kick Cancer Project. So that's our endowment, our district endowment. We're $8,000 away from $250,000. Hope to make that this year. So for the next 2 weeks, I'll be passing the hat around the tables, and hopefully we'll raise a lot of money for kidney cancer. Thank you.
And we have a Sergeant Phil Giesler. Before that, I have one quick announcement. We have a district conference coming up on April 20th. Show of hands, is anybody planning to attend? Okay. All right. Got it. Thank you.
And thank you. It seems appropriate that, since we've been asking for this for a long time, that Daryl come up and pick up the pot and take with him something that Carmen put together back in 2008, which was his sign for the annual family picnic. So at this point in time, you get to take that back to her.
Okay.
For her credit, not yours, and get to put $1 in the pot and start carrying the pot.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
What?
Oh. piece, and, just think of it this way, that today is, among other things, the happiest day of the year. It's National Happy Day. Isn't that appropriate for what you're gonna be doing? And that is giving happy dollars. And so let's see hands, and Darnell, with your pleasure and with your good efforts, sir. Please, check out the people who are gonna raise their hands. Happy dollars, yes. Go ahead, Dick, please stand.
It's a happy dollar because the Fighting Illini won the Big Ten basketball championship.
Well, okay, Dick, thanks. Happy dollar. Right? Anymore? Okay, right, okay, yeah.
I'm not actually happy about this, and I am turning 38 tomorrow.
Oh.
38, happy birthday. Great day.
I mean, just.
Mr. Cat.
Gosh, that's so old too.
I have two happy dollars. One, I'm happy I'm not turning 38.
Oh.
And number two, I'm happy, my sister, who is decidedly older than I am, although I'm her older brother. And, she took a fall. She doesn't know why. She was in a lot of pain for about 3 weeks. But I'm happy because she had a procedure, done. She had compression fractures. She had a procedure done on Monday morning and got immediate relief.
Wow.
Great. Nice that you're recognizing her. Tom?
I have two happy dollars. One, because Ted Knappy is here, as our speaker. And the second is because my wife Betsy and I went to Surprise, Arizona last week, and we were surprised by a hailstorm, a flood, and other than that, great time.
Jim?
Yeah, I'm happy that as of tomorrow, I will not yet be twice as old as Steve.
That's good, we'll go with that one too. Any other happy dollars? I suspect that there are, other than, but the line I came to the table here. I suspect that there are some other people that are happy and are not happy with what's going on. David?
Yes, well, I was going to say this, I guess I should. I'm happy that we beat Cornell in basketball yesterday.
Yes.
We can't seem to beat them in national rankings, but we beat them in basketball.
Good, well, I think that under those circumstances, let's put $1 at that table, including Dick's dollar again, to maximize them. And also, we don't want to forget the dollars for the Polio Plus, which are going to go around here pretty soon as well. Any other happy dollars? Yes, John Butterfield.
I'm happy because I don't think I've ever seen Al with a tie on before. He's not even there anymore.
Right,
He's on the road.
He's working. That's why, he must have a job or something now.
yeah, he must, that's right, something's happened, I noticed that as well, that was very good. That's,
Hope you got his scooter.
oh, okay, okay, anything else? I'm really surprised, yes, sir, I'm sorry.
I'm happy that while it's good to have Zoom, we have folks, the attendance here is increasing.
You're happy with that, you put your name in the marquee and you just come.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'd like to, Dan Carey.
I'm happy with the hiring of the new basketball coach at Ohio State because anybody who can recruit Kilbourne's homecoming queen as his wife can recruit a quality 7 foot.
It is right. Good point. Thank you for bringing that up. That's great. But John Butterfield, you did not talk about anything, maybe you did last week, but I wasn't here. About where you've been recently. This will cost you money, so go ahead.
I followed Jennifer Best here to go to Cuba. So I was in Cuba for 11 days. And Jennifer was in there for about 7 or
6 days.
6 days.
And
So
what,
I just followed Jennifer. Wherever she goes, I'm trying to, follow up.
did you have to, take care of some things if you messed up or anything like that?
No, thanks for asking though.
What were you doing?
I was on a photo workshop tour. And most of my photos were lousy. Other than at the very end, the last day, they seemed to get a little better, so maybe I learned a little bit during the tour.
Nice.
You took your camera with you.
I took a camera, yeah, that's right. Bill.
That's great.
We'll
be looking for better, John.
Yeah, winning cigars. We went to a place, we went to Vinales, which is southwest of Havana, and it's the tobacco growing region, and we took pictures of people rolling cigars. You can't bring back cigars or rum from Cuba now because of the embargo.
Okay.
Unless you sneak them. Did you sneak any?
No, because the repercussions are too drastic. No.
You can consume on site.
I'm glad you're here, as opposed to bringing cigars and getting caught, no.
Thank you.
And, to finish up here, I wanted to say that among other things, one of the things I tried to do is bring in Rotary, and I have a lot of people that I'd like to talk about today, but just one. But first of all, today is the International Rotary Drive Snow Removal Day, which only takes place in a place called Kimberley, British Columbia, Canada. So today, they were removing, according to the online Rotary information, they're removing the snow from Rotary Drive. What that means, I have no idea, but I'm sure they're all happy, and I think we should all put $1 in, as happy dollars from the Rotarians in wherever it is.
Because Bill, that's very important.
Another $1, John.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, and then one other thing, we're gonna leave with this. Born, okay, a Rotarian in this room right now, born in Chicago. Lived in the upper UP of Michigan, which is another bad spot. He's a Rotary student, it's a he, a Rotary student. You did some Air Force activity. Anybody? Nope. Dollar. Everybody throw $1. And he shot. He was one of the original Rotarians for the Dublin Worthington Rotary Club. And it's not Sam. So there are only 2 here in the room.
Nicolilla.
Oh, Nicolilla, good job. We like to do that because we want you to see what's going on with other Rotarians here. And a guy named John Butterfield created the whole thing back years ago, and as well as somebody else put it together. So, anyway, that's
Sam, it was Sam.
Yeah.
It was Sam. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill. And now I think it's time for our speaker.
Thank you very much. We're pleased to have Ted Knappe here with us today. He's addressed us once before on another issue of public concern that touches on our voting rights, and glad to have him the day after. Hopefully, we all went to the primary vote. If you did, you're one of 22% of registered Ohio voters. Ted is Rotarian. He's a Worthington fella and known personally to a number of you, and we're glad to have him. Ted has a PhD from Miami and other degrees from UD, and has spent a life in public service and education, and has been rather active thereafter as well. So he's going to talk to us today about an effort by a group called American Promise, about working toward amending the US Constitution, the 28th Amendment, and its possibilities for, oh, sorry, thank you, Teresa. Now I'm gonna redo everything I said. Done. So Ted, you're gonna tell us all about the potential laborious process of constitutional amendment, but I think more in general, the focus on what's wrong with our system and what we all need to be thinking about, maybe not only this solution, but voting rights in general. So thanks very much, Ted.
It's great to be back. Actually, it was a couple years ago, as Joe said, and I was talking about, at that point, developing the 28th Amendment regarding campaign finance. I realized, as did some other people in Ohio working on this, American Promise, that wasn't going to happen in Ohio until we do something about our districts. And therefore, just a organization developed, we call Fair Districts. And the idea is to get rid of gerrymandering. I think everybody here probably knows what gerrymandering is. If you don't, I'll get into it briefly. I'm curious though, just to get a sense, how many of you have been asked to sign a petition about gerrymandering? I've heard a lot of people say they have. There's a lot of people out there, hundreds at least here in Ohio, that the need is to get 420,000 signatures to get it on the ballot in November. And they hope to get 700,000, knowing some will be disqualified, and maybe some will use the Chicago process and sign up in 4 or 5 times. But seriously, there is a big movement afoot, so you will see people, you may have seen them yesterday when you voted. You've seen in the library, other places collecting petition signatures. Let's see if we get this to work correctly. All right, who is the group? All right, it's Ohio's leading nonpartisan redistricting advocates and experts. And I'm not an expert on this. I've studied it some and know enough to be dangerous, but more importantly, Fair Districts. If this isn't picking up, let me know. I'll take it off.
Keep close.
Yeah, go close.
You can take it
I
out.
better do this then. Okay. It's led by League of Women Voters, Common Cause Ohio, and a number of other coalitions, ACLU, Council of Churches, Philip Randolph, Ohio Voter Rights Commission, and others. It's pretty much a grassroots, nonpartisan. You need to stress that it's a nonpartisan issue. I'll get into how both parties have been involved in gerrymandering in the past in other states and in Ohio. Our agenda, just briefly an overview. What is redistricting? What is gerrymandering? What's so bad about gerrymandering anyway? Didn't we already try to fix this? How do we fix this for good? What is the Citizens Not Politicians Amendment? Just another name for the Fair Districts Project. How are the Citizens Commissioners chosen? How would the amendment ensure fair maps? And what can you do to help ensure fair maps if you're so inclined? Redistricting, as most of you probably know, is the process of redrawing the boundaries of electoral districts to reflect changes in the population. It happens every 10 years. A census is taken on 2000, 2010, 20, etc. Ohio has 3 sets of maps. Congressional, which is the U.S. House of Representatives, of which we have 15 members, I think, currently in Ohio. And also the state Senate and the state House. Now, the one that's missing there is Senate, right? Why is it not an issue? Everybody in Ohio votes for the Senate, the U.S. Senate position, so that redistricting, gerrymandering doesn't become a factor there. In Ohio, and it does differ by state, like Wisconsin just overruled gerrymandering. It's been done different ways in different states, but it is a problem in many states across the country. In Ohio, there was a bipartisan commission of elected officials. Unfortunately, that really wasn't a bipartisan commission. We'll get more into that later. Main goal of redistricting is to maintain districts that are equal in size so that votes in each district have the same power. Now, really, that's a little misleading. We're not talking about geographic size, we're really talking about population. You might have a very densely populated area and one rural area that's not so dense. So really, we're talking about getting a similar number of voters in each district. Populations change, obviously. They shrink, they grow over time. So redistricting is meant to ensure every 10 years, one person, one vote. If I'm in a district of hundreds of thousands, and you're in a district of, say, a couple thousand, our votes really don't mean the same, okay? Yours might have more weight than mine, or vice versa. Populations do change. Right now, there's quite a bit of movement toward central Ohio, and we all know that. Unfortunately, because of some manufacturing and financial issues, people tend to be moving to metropolitan areas quite a bit. So that needs to happen every district. It needs to happen every 10 years. But when political parties and incumbent politicians are in charge, they will draw maps to keep them in power. And that's what leads to gerrymandering. And it's happened again in a number of states. It's been done by both parties. And we are, what many would say, a victim of it in Ohio right now. What is it? Well, when electoral districts are drawn by the party in power and incumbent politicians with the intention of predetermining who gets elected. Okay? Main goal is to manipulate district lines in ways that advance certain political groups or parties, maximizing the impact of voters that align with that party that's in power and the incumbent politicians, minimizing the impact of other voters. In Ohio, for example, right now, we have been consistently the last decade or two voting about 55, 56% Republican, 44, 45% Democrat. Doesn't mean that's how many are in the parties. Obviously, there are a number of independents like myself, and they can vote either way. But that's been the vote breakdown pretty regularly lately. So one would expect that we would have House of Representatives and Senate that would be similar proportions. Not so. Okay, so in the House, Republicans won 55.8%, but they have 67% of the seats in the House. Senate, a little bit worse. Republicans won approximately 60% of the vote, but they hold almost 80% of the seats. And consequently, the conclusion there is about 15% more. It wasn't in the presentation, but I looked up. I think we have 15 U.S. House seats. One of them is vacant right now. I don't know why. But of the other 14, 9 are Republican, 5 are Democrats. That's about 66%. So again, it's much higher percentage of representation to that party than the actual voting. Again, this happens in other states. New York, I think, has been skewed the other direction. Democrats have done the same thing. We'll get into more of that later. So what's so bad about gerrymandering anyway? Well, gerrymandered districts let representatives pick their voters instead of voters picking the representative. I happen to have, or did have, a representative who very nearly got beat in the last election a couple of years ago. A no name, a person who no notoriety, no name recognition, almost beat him. I ended up calling his office, talked to one of his aides about an issue, and I mentioned that his office was right here in Worthington. She said, well, if his office is in Worthington, you're no longer in his district. And I said, that's my point. Worthington, a lot of the metropolitan area was taken out of his district, and he was given more rural districts, because that's unfortunately the way the voting goes. That's a gross generalization, but it pretty much holds true. They gave him a safer district. We have districts in Ohio that cover 12 states. You may have heard the snake on a lake, if I heard that term. It was a district that ran from the Lake Erie, I couldn't tell you exactly which county, but it ran through a lot of rural areas and picked up one-party votes. And that's not the only one. There's another one that has 12 different counties, and it runs all over the western part of the state. And so it works. It means politicians can't be held accountable when they go against the will of the people. It lowers voter participation rates. Voters sometimes lose faith. They figure, I don't have any impact. I know which party is going to win. I'm in a red district, I'm in a blue district. If I'm in the opposite party, it becomes futile in some cases. It steals voter power. Those rigged districts dilute the power of groups who oppose the party in power. Again, it could be either parties, not one or the other. So when the districts are gerrymandered, they become uncompetitive. Often, again, a bit of a generalization, but it happens more often than not. The candidate favored by the party in power, the incumbent, usually wins. In fact, when I was doing work on American Promise on campaign finance, we learned that 89–90% of incumbents win their elections in the United States. Part of it is because they stockpile more money while they're in office, but the other is gerrymandering. So that leads to primary elections becoming more important than general elections. Hyperpartisan candidates are forced to cater their message to primary voters, not general election voters, who typically are more extreme, hyperpartisan. We just heard the vote yesterday was 22% voted. And what happens is you get the people who are really engaged in their party, and they become advocates often of more extreme positions, and we get more extreme candidates in the primaries. I can remember 10, 15 years ago, I was a big, even though I'm an independent, I was a big fan of John McCain. And I'm hearing things, and reading things in the media, John McCain was stating during the primary, and I said, wait a minute, this isn't John McCain that I know. This guy's way over to the right. Well, he was in a primary, and his opponent was an extreme candidate. In order to win the primary, he had to move to the right. Just as Democrats probably have to move to the left. And primary ended, McCain won, he moved back to the center, became a moderate again. That's how our system gets manipulated because of the primaries and the fact that most people don't even vote them. So you get the more extreme voters by and large. That leads to minority rule. Primary elections have low turnout. Minority voters make decisions that then we have to live with. And once you're in power, again, 89–90% of incumbents win. Once they're in for the duration, for a long time. Then we already tried to fix this. Well, we did. We voted twice in Ohio for redistricting reform, 2015 and 2018. We thought the politicians would do the right thing, but they didn't. What we learned, voters want to hold politicians accountable, but politicians can't seem to resist the temptation to draw the maps that will keep them in power, or even get them additional seats. So what do? How do we get a fix for good? And what is the amendment? At Citizens Not Politicians is a proposed constitutional amendment that puts the power to make district maps into the hands of Ohio citizens. And what it would do, creates a 15-member Ohio Citizens Redistricting Commission made up of 5 Democrats, 5 Republicans, 5 Independents. And the intent is also, and this gets complicated, to broadly represent the different geographic areas and demographics. It would ban current or former politicians, party officials, lobbyists, etc., from sitting on the commission. It require fair and impartial districts by making it unconstitutional to draw voting districts that discriminate against or favor any political party or an individual politician. Requires a commission to operate under an open and independent process. Right, so the voters end up through this commission drawing the lines, not the politicians, which is what happened. If you followed it, we had, I think, 5 or 6 court cases where the Supreme Court in Ohio said, no, legislators, that is not a fair map. All kinds of maps were presented. Some were much fairer than what we ended up with, but they ran out the clock and stonewalled the process. So the process that is being proposed would be transparent, open, and inclusive. Many of the meetings that were held during the last process were closed. People who went to the meetings and advocated were pretty much tuned out. Politicians will be held accountable if they aren't listening to their constituents. Right now, there's a veto-proof majority in Ohio, and consequently, many legislators, not all, many feel they don't have to worry. I'm in power. We've got the power. If the governor vetoes it, we'll override it. And they have on many issues. How would it ensure fair maps? Maps must comply with the Voting Rights Act. Maps favoring or disfavoring a political party, either party, are banned. Maps cannot take an incumbent or candidate addresses into account. That means to me, I haven't really thought through it totally, but if I'm in a position right now, say a state representative, the new map will include different, I might even live in the area now. So there's some ramifications there that we don't draw the maps to fit where the representatives live. We draw the maps to be fair and let the chips fall where they may. And they must preserve communities of interest. The rules will ensure fair maps, hopefully. They must comply with the Voting Rights Act. And that's the reason I did advance, it looks familiar. How will it ensure that the commission operates openly? Hearings will be held in 5 regions of Ohio for greater participation and representation, as opposed to virtually all of them being downtown Columbus, as it was in the past. Census and voting data will be made public. In other words, what we're basing these maps on will be made very public, why they end up the way they do. Hearings are required before and after the maps are drafted. Maps must be reviewed by the public before adoption. So it's a pretty drawn out process. The rules are clear. Any Ohio elector can file a challenge for the commission's redistricting plan. Challenges would go to the Supreme Court, which has exclusive jurisdiction. 2 special masters, credentialed experts required to ensure maps follow all the rules. How are they chosen?
Ted,
Yes.
the word elector, does that mean citizen, voters?
Yes, I think so. I think so. Yeah. Okay, so who's eligible to serve? Any citizen who is a continuous resident of Ohio for 6 years. You have to live here 6 years. You have to be a registered voter in Ohio. What will bar you from doing that? You're not allowed to be in if you're serving in a partisan position, or you're a candidate for elected office, obviously, or you're registered as a lobbyist. Now, selection of these commissioners, this gets kind of involved. I'll go through it quickly. And there's a website if you want to pursue this. The fact I have a pad up here in this first table we can pass around. If you want to become involved, I'll be happy to turn your email address, your name into League of Women Voters, one of the groups that's doing this, or you can go to fairdistrictsohio.org. Just as it sounds, fairdistricts.org. Excuse me, fairdistrictsohio.org. And it's a very easy process there to get involved. So how are these commissioners selected? Look at my notes here. This gets a little bit involved, but I don't know which slide we're on. Let me find it. I think I pretty much know it by heart, so we'll just wing it without the notes. What happens is there's an open process. Again, politicians and lobbyists are screened out. Bipartisan panel picks 45 finalists. 4 retired judges, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, would be in charge of getting this set of 45 commissioners. The next slide will help a little bit here. Okay, we've already said this. I turned this thing over and I went backwards. It doesn't work that way. I was going backward when I reversed it. There we go. Okay, this is where we need to be. So that bipartisan panel picks 15 of the people that have applied from each party and independents. So those are the 3 groups of 15 we start with. Then they choose 2 from each of these groups. Those 2 pick 3 more. So you end up with 5 Republicans, 5 independents, 5 Democrats, 15 commissioners. So you got 6 to start with, and then 9 more chosen, so you have 15 in the group. Here. So that's basically how it works. Again, there's a lot more detail, but I don't want to set a time here. I think we're just about at 25 minutes. I want to make sure we leave time for questions. Said something that doesn't make sense, something that you want to debate or anything, any questions?
What's the timeline that you're looking
Well,
at?
what they want to do is have this done by, the vote will be in November. And that's part of this process, besides the signatures, if, assuming they get 420,000 ballot signatures. And I believe there's a criteria on how many counties have to be involved, yes.
I'm hearing that the gerrymandering process is dead in Ohio. It's in committee someplace, and there's a solution at hand. It's been put in committee, that's what's reporting to me. How do I know whether that's?
What you just described, I think, is what happened in previous 2 times. And I get 5-4 vote. I think 4 or 5 times, the Supreme Court said, legislators, you haven't done your job. We still have gerrymandered business. The retired or term limited Supreme Court justice, the Republican, has joined and become a very active part of this. So we now have, I think, a 5-4 Republican majority yet. But I think of her name, Jennifer. If I remember who the Supreme Court justice was, it just got term limited.
Maureen O'Connor.
Maureen O'Connor, thank you. Right, she's very involved in this. I think what you're hearing is past tense. That's why this very elaborate process has been set up. They've had a number of attorneys and experts try to set up a process, although it may look, probably is a little bit unwieldy. They want to make sure that our legislators can't run the clock out and ignore it again. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can add some comments on it.
Good.
Just to understand, first, I was a member of the Ohio General Assembly in the 1990s.
Okay.
But what was different then is that the districts were more competitive. So in the same districts that we had a Democratic majority one time, we had a Republican majority 3 times, but given that we are a Republican leaning state, that's not surprising. But the Republican majority in the House never exceeded 60 votes. In other words, it never got much passed or veto approved, and most of the time it was not veto approved. Which means, for example, that, you know, there would have been, it's more likely than not that the vetoes that Governor DeWine has issued on some controversial issues would have been sustained, even if all the Republicans had voted for it. And secondly, another, one of my fellow legislators from that time, Gene Krebs, you'll sometimes see on TV on Sunday mornings, because he lives in or at least works in Columbus area now, said to me, you know, the House of Representatives that you and I served in, it isn't there anymore. He doesn't mean the institution's not there. He doesn't just mean that because of term limits and other things that most of the personnel have changed. What he means is the culture is different. And part of the reason the culture is different is because as gerrymandering has proceeded, as partisanship in the country overall has increased, we've reached, and as term limits also had the effect of forcing out more moderate people. That was one of the intentions, by the way. The thinking was that when people get experience, they tend to moderate their views. So you want to get rid of them before they get too conservative or too liberal, you know, or too moderate if you wanted them to stay extreme. And because of polarization, because of gerrymandering, because of the lopsided majorities, it's a different place. It's much more partisan. And the result is, for example, the real elections are the primaries.
That's right.
Because we have probably 4 or 5 districts that are competitive out of 99 in the Ohio House. So it is different. On that question of whether it's over, what's over is that under the current constitutional language, the districts are final for 10 years. That's what's.
Get a microphone, would you?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, under the. Yeah. Yeah, what's final are the districts themselves under the current constitutional language. So the districts are supposed to be redrawn at least every 10 years. And we went through a contentious process this last time but we are now at the point where the districts are final for the rest of this decade. Unless the Constitution changes, then we might have a new process.
And that commission that was kind of running this or overseeing it was 7 members, 5 Republicans and 2 Democrats. That's why they were able to run the clock out. And I want to stress again, this happened in the 70s and 80s when Democrats were in power. So it's not just one party. It just happened that eventually, as you alluded, Republicans gain control, and that becomes a vicious cycle. Once the party in power, regardless of which one it is, they tend to make sure they stay in power and gain seats. John?
So given what you said, that we have these, large metropolitan areas and then these rural areas, isn't it difficult to draw these lines because of the nature of the state?
One of the things that logic, but there's a number of terms that didn't get into. Packing is one of them. They pack the generalizations, so you can't say that all rural people are Republicans and all metropolitan are Democrats. That's not true. But there are some strong tendencies that way. So they would pack, they have enough statistical data, they can know where the predominance of Democrats and Republicans are. And you tend to get more Democrats in metropolitan areas, more minorities. Go on, you know as well as I do. They would pack one party's voters into a particular area and then leave. I can think of one person, again, who has 12 counties, and his districts are almost all rural, but lesser educated. I don't mean that negatively, it's just a fact. People who have college degrees tend to vote more Democrat. Somehow they're called elite now. They're called elite by Harvard graduates. And it doesn't quite make sense to me, but that's what happens. So it does, what you're saying makes sense, but it happens. They can pack Democratic votes into the metropolitan areas. And if you look at voting results on maps, blue and red, it becomes pretty clear. The metropolitan areas are blue, the rural areas tend to be red.
I think we can do one more.
Definitely.
One of the issues that I don't hear discussed a lot, but I believe plays into this even greater, is who's got the microphone. Once elected, you have basically the news media, the information going out, dominates your paper. About 18 months, or if lucky, we can maybe stretch that to a few less months where people are paying a lot of attention prior to a primary. But basically, once elected, who are you listening to? You're listening to who's in office, not who's coming up to look at and criticizing that individual. I think we overlooked that in this process of what's going on.
Oh, and that's one of the things I mentioned, we found that in the campaign finance issues. 89% of incumbents win because they stockpile, they accumulate money while they're in office. The person who doesn't have the name recognition, more important than money, can't compete, can't get the message out, as you said. Thank you very much. That is going around, but if you're not interested in putting your name on it, then you go to fairdistrict.ohio.org and, or get a hold of me. I'm glad to help whoever I can. Really appreciate your attention. It's really important that people find out before November what's going on. A lot of people aren't really aware of what's going on, or they think it's a done deal. So please share the information, ask them to get a hold of League of Women Voters or their districts.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And I'm going to give you a minute if you would like to introduce yourself. If you don't want to, that's okay. But I don't want to pass you by. You made the effort to come here.
Hello, my name is Lucia. I go to Douglas High School, in the Douglas School District. I'm in the International Baccalaureate Program, that's centered at the Emerald Campus in Douglas School. And I'm outbound, internship to Japan next year for a long-term, so I'm there for a year.
Why did you pick Japan?
It was one of the places that I could go to because I will be a graduate, so that's sort of limited and it's really cool. It's, an interesting language. I haven't learned, any languages better than, not in like the romantic language section, so that was, a cool chance to add.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thanks, Dad, for coming too. And we have a raffle.
We do, $25 in the weekly, and I've been mixing them up for about 20 minutes, so it should be well.
You heard the jingling in there.
That's because there was criticism last week? No, I don't think so. Oh, I tried to.
No more Jim Miller, no offense, but.
Last score, 6-3-0-0. These were all new days, so. Somebody's got it.
Jim Allen.
Another Jim.
The other Jim. That's it, 25, and I'll let you fix this ace of spades, and I forgot to ask Sam how much is in it. Probably give him $200.
Sam, how much is in the ace of spades?
I don't know, he doesn't know. Let's see, working on it. Foundation needs 6349. Hey.
Got it. This could be good.
You only get $38.
Yeah.
Jack of spades, okay. All righty, four-way test, here we go. Of the things we think, say, and do first. Second. Third. And fourth. Very good, we're adjourned, and just as a reminder, we have a board meeting tomorrow at Steve Fairley's conference room at 7:30. If you'd like to join us, you're welcome.